Welcome back, league winners. Guys, tune in. If you want to win your league, just watch the videos. Are you guys 4-0 and in first place yet? Because we still are, and I know I still am. Everyone, it's just me. You stuck with me this week. Adam's in like Aruba or some shit on a cruise ship somewhere. He might be on the video tomorrow, but you're stuck with me. So I'm going to get into just kind of a week 4 recap, and I'm going to go over the busts and the booms. And then I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a waiver wire pick, what I like. And then we got some where we were rights and where we were wrongs, and we'll get into that last. And hopefully we can have a back and forth video on the where we were rights and where we were wrongs with Adam. Hopefully we can get him on that cruise ship. But let's start with the busts. This first bust, number 1, in terms of fantasy points, is not really surprising. I know Adam would agree with me on this. We've been talking about this guy for really the last couple games, and we just cannot figure out this Sean McVay backfield. Whose backfield is it? Who's getting the goal line work? Who's getting the work? But the number 1 with 1.3 fantasy points is Cam Akers on 8 attempts, 13 yards, 1 target, no catches. Guys, I don't know what is going on in that backfield with the Rams. Really don't. I don't know if this is going to be a guessing game all year, whether it's going to be Akers or whether it's Henderson. But in my opinion, I don't like them both. And I would be very uncomfortable if I had to play either one of them. I wouldn't play Akers or Henderson moving forward. Number 2, another guy that we talked about, Mr. Disappearing Act this week, Mr. Amari Cooper on 4 targets, 1 catch for 9 yards. The man got 1.9 fantasy points. I know a lot of people that started him this week. He had a great game last week. He had a 20-point performance last week, and a lot of guys moved him up into their roles this week. And me personally was telling you guys to play him, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry if anyone watched this video and played Amari Cooper, because he shit the bed and he pulled a disappearing act, just like we had talked about. Number 3. Don't know if we talked about him a whole lot. This guy was taken ADP like maybe 5th, 6th, 7th round. I mean, a lot of guys play this guy every week and are very upset from this 2.3 performance, and that's Gabe Davis. And 2.3 points was accrued from 3 targets, 1 reception for 13 yards. That game was more of a defensive battle, not as high scoring as we thought it was going to be. A lot of people in that game didn't really hit their projections and what they were supposed to do. A lot of people in that game slate busted. And I know we told you guys to play as many people as you guys could in that game, and there's a lot of people in that slate or in that game that busted. One of the things we were wrong on that I'll talk about a little bit later. Sorry if you played Gabe Davis. Number 4, another guy I'm just not surprised about. He had like 1 good week, and all the other ones have been completely garbage, and that's Allen Robinson, who got 2.7 fantasy points off of 6 targets, 2 catches for 7 yards. Again, not surprising. If I had Allen Robinson, I don't know if I would, play him. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable doing that. I don't think I'd ever play him moving forward. Straight up. Number 5 is kind of surprising based off of the last 3 weeks. This guy's been having a lot of good games, and 2.9 fantasy points for James Robinson. Only 8 attempts, no targets, no receptions, 29 rushing yards. ETN had more than him. I think ETN had like 3.8 or 3.9 or something like that. Jacksonville just got away from running the ball. They stopped running it. These guys did not get a lot of work. Number 6 is probably the biggest bust, not probably, this is the biggest bust of the week. Based off of the volume that this guy had and where he was taken, this is the biggest bust of the week. Jonathan Taylor. The man had 20 attempts, only 42 rushing yards, 3 targets, 1 reception for 1 yard, and he fumbled. Now, all the reports think he got hurt, but I mean, 20 attempts, you know what I mean? Like the number 1 overall pick, that's just crazy. That's a big bust. You're pissed at JT. That's like multiple weeks in a row that this guy has just had just bad games. I mean, number 1 overall picks, I mean, if you took Christian McCaffrey or whatever, I mean, at least the man produced before he got hurt. This guy just isn't even producing. And a lot of people are just kicking themselves for taking him number 1. Number 7 is actually a 3-way tie because they all got the same amount of points, about 3.5. You have Terry McLaurin, Mark Andrews, and Kyle Pitts. Terry got 6 targets, 2 catches, 15 yards. Andrews got 5 targets, 2 catches, 15 yards. And Pitts got 4 targets, 1 reception for 25 yards. Now, I'm not surprised about Pitts. He's been doing this shit all year. He's Mr. 3 points. I mean, this guy is just way too talented to be wasted away in that Falcons offense. He is just, I feel bad for the guy because he is such a talent. I drafted him last year. He did the same thing, just underperformed in terms of fantasy. They just can't get the ball to him over there. Terry McLaurin with 2 catches for 15 yards. I mean, that's unacceptable. You guys just paid this man how much money? Carson Wentz, it's time to sit down. Put Taylor Heineke in. Put fucking anybody in. I've been super high on Carson Wentz. Well, not high on him, but I've been saying I'm okay with playing any kind of Washington receiver based off of the way that he plays. But this game, he just sucked. The guy fucking sucks. And I'm worried about the Washington receiving core because they play a dependent position and they got to catch it from him. Mark Andrews is very surprising. 5 targets, 2 catches for 15 yards. Mark Andrews has been balling this year. And again, he falls into that category of that Bills-Ravens game that was just weird. That should have been super, super high scoring, and it wasn't. And basically every single person in that game busted. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. If any of you guys listened to this and played all those guys, I mean, you're not going to play Andrews. You're not going to play Allen. You're not going to play Lamar, you know. I didn't play J.K. Dobbins, and he got 22 points on my bench. Anyways, number 8, Drake London, 3.7 points. He still looks like the clear-cut number 1 receiver. Again, he has to catch passes from Mariota in that weird Falcons offense. Same kind of point that we talked about for Kyle Pitts. All these other guys like Cam Akers, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, James Robinson, I'm not playing these guys. I'm just not. These guys don't surprise me that they busted. Jonathan Taylor, very surprising. Terry McLaurin, kind of surprising. Kyle Pitts, not surprising. Andrews, very surprising. Drake London, yeah. I'm still cool with playing Drake London every week. They had a bad game. Number 9 was Deontay Johnson. He had 2 rush attempts for 11 yards, 4 targets, 2 catches for 11 yards. He got about 4.2 fantasy points. Bad game, Mitch Trubisky. I'm fine with playing Deontay moving forward. This is just a bad game, especially if they're going to play Kenny Pickett and they're going to just play a better thrower of the football. The guy did throw some interceptions. That Steelers offense just seems to be doomed. But I still think Pickett's a better option than Trubisky. I'd still play Deontay moving forward. He had a bad game. Number 10, Mr. Boomer Bust, a guy we talked about being very, very boomer bust, which is Devontae Smith. And he had 4 targets, 3 catches, 17 yards, about 4.7 fantasy points right there. Bad game? Yes. Boomer bust? Worthy player? Absolutely. Would I play him week to week? No way. You guys who have Devontae Smith, you're going to have to live with it. And you're going to have to live with this guy being boomer bust. Hopefully you can predict the game where he gets 30 points, and hopefully you can predict the game where he gets 4. Biggest boomer bust player that there is, or one of them at least. But again, just like a little recap, not playing Cam Akers ever again, ever, or Darrell Henderson. Just not doing it. Amari Cooper, not comfortable playing him. Allen Robinson, I'm not touching him. James Robinson, bad game. The guy's a beast. He's a dog. I would play him, actually. JT, let's hope he's okay. Let's hope this injury isn't serious. You guys drafted him number 1 overall. You're going to play him. Gabe Davis, bad game. I'd still play him. Terry, I'd still play. Mark Andrews, of course. And Kyle Pitts, if you have Kyle Pitts, trade him. Look for a different tight end. Go on the wire. He ain't doing it. And I don't think he will. He's likely to have a good game, but trade him. Drake London, I'm still playing him. Guy had a bad game. He's the clear number 1 in that offense. Bad game. Still playing him. Deontay Johnson, bad game. Still play him. Hopefully the offense picks up with Kenny Pickett. He's good to go. And Devontae Smith, don't play him. All right. Now we got the booms. Those were the busts. Now we have the top 10 booms. Number 1 on the list is, I predicted it. And a lot of people said I was foolish, but then all those Detroit receivers went down. And I liked TJ Hawkinson before all of those receivers went down. I love the matchup against Seattle. I told anyone who had Hawkinson to play him, and look what he did. 12 targets, 8 catches for 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion. The guy had 42 fantasy points. The leading fantasy producer was a tight end. Now, I get it. All those Detroit receivers were out. Swift was out. St. Brown was out. It was just they had no receivers, so he just ate. He got all the targets, all the work. I think he's in line to great tight end. Do I think he's going to repeat these numbers? Probably not. But he's a good tight end to have in your lineup every week. Number 2, 37 fantasy points. A lot of people had this man on their bench. I know a lot of people who had Josh Jacobs on their bench this week. And he had 28 attempts, 144 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 targets, 5 catches for 31 yards. I mean, that hurts. 37 points on the bench, that hurts. They fed him. They really, really got him involved. I watched that entire game, and every time I looked up, he was getting the ball. Guys, if you have Jacobs on the bench, I think it's time to elevate him to the starting roster. I think he's very, very, very start worthy every week. Is this a ceiling game? Is this a great game? Sure. But, I was reading that the way the Raiders have been playing 0-3, Mayock sat down with the old boy McDaniels in the office, closed door conversation, said things got to change. Devontae got more involved. The run game got more involved. I think you're going to see this a lot more moving forward. Jacobs should be in your lineups every week, in my opinion. Number 3, something I predicted, my heart and soul, LA Chargers. Old Austin Eckler, 34 points off 13 attempts, 60 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 7 targets, 6 catches, 49 yards, and a receiving touchdown. The guy had 3 fucking touchdowns. It was against Houston. We've been right all year when it comes to streaming running backs against Houston. That game was way too competitive. way too competitive for my likings as a Charger fan watching every snap of that game. This was the game for Eckler that we all drafted him for. I mean, this is the kind of games he was getting last year, and every game up until this one was subpar. I really hope that this kind of production for him and all the Eckler owners keeps on going forward. But I know we saw this coming. You know, go watch the videos. We were super high on Eck. This is what he's supposed to do. Is this a ceiling game? I don't even think this is his ceiling. I think he's capable of much more. And again, you guys took him probably top 5. He's going to be in your line every week. Just like this next guy at number 4, Mr. Justin Jefferson. I predicted he'd have a bounce back game, and he certainly did. At 34 fantasy points. He had a rush attempt for 3 yards and a rushing touchdown. 13 targets for 10 catches and 147 receiving yards. Don't have to tell you guys to play this guy next week moving forward. You're going to play him. Some of you guys may have even took this guy with number 2, number 3 overall. He should be in your lineups every single week. This is exactly what he's supposed to do. Number 5, again, something we predicted. Bounce back game. Pissed off Mike Evans. 32 fantasy points, 10 targets, 8 catches, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. The man had to fucking sit out last week. He was healthy. He was pissed. That game turned into a fucking shootout. Just like I predicted. Just like I thought it would. I don't have to tell you to play Mike Evans moving forward. I just don't. He's going to be in there every week. But this next guy, Adam and I talked about it. We said, is this the game where this man emerges? Is this the game where this guy just eats? 31 fantasy points, Rashad Penny. 17 attempts, 2 rushing touchdowns, 151 yards, 1 target, 1 catch for 6 yards. Penny's that dude. Was this against a bad run D? Yeah. Is this a ceiling game? Probably. Is he him? He's him. Rashad Penny's him. The man put up 31 fantasy points on basically every single person that I know that had him's bench. Are you going to play Penny every week? If you need to. I just might. I think Rashad Penny is legit. And I wouldn't mind playing him in a flex or maybe even elevating him up to a running back that's maybe not producing. I'd play fucking Rashad Penny over James Conner. For sure. Play Penny. Number 8, something that we talked about might happen. And just not knowing what that Miami passing game looks like. But it's Tyreek Hill. 14 targets, 10 catches for 160 yards. What is it? Yeah, 28 points off of just volume. Tua went down. That was scary. That was crazy. Adam said in that Thursday night game that we went over, Adam straight up said, like, I don't care what anyone says. Homie had a concussion. And you saw the lingering effects. Like, the guy went down, looks like basically a routine sack. And, yeah, it was just not fun to watch. You just never want to see that shit. But he went down and old Noodle Arm came in, whatever the fuck his name is. Bridgewater came in and kind of peppered him with targets. Waddle didn't do shit. And Hill was the one that went off. And we talked about that in a couple videos. Who the fuck's going to go off? Is that a guessing game every week? Based off of the matchups that we went over, Waddle was supposed to have the softer, easier matchup. But Hill was the one that had the game. And you guys are going to be predicting or trying to predict that stuff all year. And again, it's just going to be a guessing game. But you guys are going to play Hill every week. There's no question about it. So tied with 28 points at number 8, a guy that Adam was super high on too. Dameon Pierce. Adam loved him. Adam kept on mentioning his name. He had 131 yards off of 14 attempts. He had a touchdown, 6 targets, 6 receptions, only 8 yards receiving, but still, I mean, he had 28 points. We talked about Pierce potentially being a guy that could break out, and we talked about the Chargers' run defense being subpar. And both of those things added up to a great game. I think Pierce is a very, very, very skilled, talented back. Again, I watched every snap. The guy is special. He's for real. It sucks that he's in that Houston offense, but I would be perfectly comfortable playing Pierce in my line every week moving forward. Number 9, again, guys, we predicted all of these. We talked about all of this, all the booms. If you want to be 4-0, first place, win your lineups, win your matchups, take home trophies, have bragging rights, win shit, talk shit, watch the fucking videos. Because we predicted all this shit. We predicted number 9 T. Higgins going the fuck off. He had the best matchup, and we talked about that. Go look at the video, Thursday Night Football. He had 9 targets. He had 7 catches off of those for 124 receiving yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins is a dog. You're going to play him every single week. No more to talk about on T. T's a dog. You're going to play him. Man, number 10, his game just ended. And absolutely fucking ridiculous, Cooper Kupp. 28 fantasy points. He had 19 targets, 14 receptions for 122 yards. Just pure volume. Stafford's a bum. I've been saying it for years. I don't care who believes me, who wants to listen. He's a fucking bum. And Cooper Kupp is his guy. There's never going to be a week where Cooper Kupp busts. That's a hot take. But I don't think there will be. The amount of just sheer volume that this guy is getting, I truly don't think that there's ever going to be a week where Cooper Kupp busts. I think he's solid. He should have been the number 1 overall pick. If you guys had any brains or any common sense or could see the future, even the past, Cooper Kupp was like the number 1 fantasy accruing guy in terms of points last year. And I told everyone if I get the number 1 pick, I'd pick Cooper Kupp over Jonathan Taylor, over Christian McCaffrey. And this guy off his sheer volume, no touchdowns, got 28 fantasy points. Those are the booms. I'm going to slide over to the top waiver wire picks and what I like. These are my top 5. Number 1 on this list, I don't know if he's widely available in a lot of your guys' wires, but he's available in my league only because I dropped him. And that's George Pickens. I got impatient on him. He wasn't doing anything. And he emerged. George Pickens emerged. The guy balled out. He's a specimen. The guy is an absolute dog. And I think he has wide receiver 1 potential. The one over there is Deontay Johnson, but George Pickens looks like a better football player. This might be a stash. I don't know if he'll start producing week to week like how we would like him to, but he's my number 1 pick because I think even if he doesn't produce next week or the week before, I feel like he will. I feel like this guy will win you your championship. I feel like this is the guy that's really, really, really going to heat up mid-season towards the end. Great for the playoffs. Go stash George Pickens. Number 2 and number 3, I'm going to talk about together because Javonte Williams went down. And for some reason, the Denver Broncos fucking hate Melvin Gordon. They fucking hate that guy. Like, they just don't play him. And when they play him, he fumbles. He doesn't do well. That Mike Boone guy is number 2. And number 3 is Latavius Murray, who the Broncos just signed. Those two are now going to be the backs. I don't think Melvin Gordon will be very relevant. I think one of these guys, Mike Boone or Latavius Murray, will take over the leading percentage of that backfield like Javonte Williams had. Javonte, I think, was like a 60 or a 70, 60-40, 70-30 split with Melvin Gordon. And like I said, the fucking Broncos hate Gordon. They don't like him. You could tell just the way that dude went down and Gordon went in and fumbled, and they played Boone basically the rest of the game. So Mike Boone and Latavius Murray, 2 solid running backs. I'd be happy if I got either one. Like I said, one of them is going to take that majority backfield ownership. I don't know which one, but I'd like to get them both. Number 4, Tyler Algier. Scordero. He went down. He's on IR. Other guy, Damian Williams, I think he's on IR too, or he's out, or he's hurt. Tyler Algier is basically the only running back that the Falcons have. This guy should be higher on the list, but I'm in a PPR league, so I prioritize receivers. But Algier should probably be higher on my list now that I'm looking at this. But I do like Denver over Atlanta, which is why he lands at number 4. But this is a great pickup. Like I said, he's like their only running back now. Go grab him. And number 5, this guy should not be on the waiver wire. He should have been drafted relatively high, but he came into the season hurt and got in the end zone on his first game back with Cooper Rush. It's Michael Gallup, and Gallup's Dak's guy, and Dak's coming back soon. And Noah Brown's not going to last too much longer in that offense. Now that Gallup is back, it's clearly Gallup's role in that number 2 receiver. Guys, there is a solid number 2 receiver on an offense that's likely to put up stupid amounts of points every game on the waiver wire. Go pick up Michael Gallup. Straight up. Those are my picks. Fuck, I miss Adam, dude. This is weird just talking to myself. Like, there's no feedback. There's no anything. I'm like just talking. Like a fucking monologue. It's just, it's weird. Adam, I hope you're having a great vacation. I miss you, buddy. Come back soon, because this by myself shit's kind of weird. Just in my apartment, talking to myself. There's some things that I want to talk about without Adam, just because I think it's going to be funny when we do talk about it. But there's a lot of things that I was right about. Not to mention all of those booms. Rewind 10 minutes, log down all the booms, and go watch the last video. We talked about all of them. All of the guys that boomed, we talked about them. All of the guys that busted, we talked about them too. We were basically right a lot. We were wrong on some shit. We're fallible humans. We're going to get some stuff wrong. Adam, if you're watching this, it's time to make your peace with Hollywood Brown. It's time to forgive him. It's time to bury the hatchet. Hollywood Brown continues to put up stupid numbers. He continues to get in the end zone. He continues to do things that I always believed in my heart that he could do. and I was right about Hollywood Brown again. I was also right about the 49ers. I was also right how they just have the Rams number. It's a dogfight every single time, but Jimmy G is 7-0 when it comes to playing the Rams. I told you guys, I like the Niners. I knew they'd win. I hope you guys took that line because it'd pay out. I was also right about Austin Eckler having a game in which he was supposed to have all year, but wasn't. And I saved this one for last because I'm extremely proud of this prediction. Adam rolled his eyes. He scoffed at it. He thought I was tripping. He said that was the hottest take he'd ever heard because I told him Clyde Edwards-Helaire would ball out. Not only did I say that Clyde would ball out, but I said he'd have a better game than Lenny, and he did both. Man got in the end zone. The man rushed. The man caught. The man should have had 3. Should have had 4. Dropped a couple. Should have got in the end zone again. Maybe even twice more. But he had a fucking game. Clyde had a game. And I knew he would. I knew Andy Reid would dial up that offense. Granted, one of those touchdowns was off of Mahomes just being a pure magician and just fucking flipping it to him, doing all some weird-ass shit. But, yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I had faith in him. I thought he was going to ball out. I knew he would, and he did. And I wish so bad that Adam was on the other side of the screen so I could rub it in his fucking face because he thought that was the hottest take he'd ever heard, and I was dead right. Again, we do our best. Adam spends a lot of time. I call him Adam Statman Jones because he comes up with the stats. But you guys, Adam really does put a lot of time and effort into deep diving and digging into matchups and figuring out who has the best one. And guys, we can't predict this shit. We can't predict life. But we can do the best research and the best studying that we possibly can and put together the most accurate data projections that we have. We've been doing this for years and years and years. And like I said, rewind this video and go look at all the top 10 busts and all the top 10 booms. Write them down if you have to. Then go rewatch that last video. We talked about them all. We got a couple things wrong, but I'm actually very, very proud of the research that Adam did and the stuff that we talked about and the opinions that we put together because we were right about damn near a vast majority of this shit. I won my matchup. I know Adam won his. We're both 4-0. We're both in first place. And we continue to put these videos out because we like doing them. But, like, for real, we want other people to win their leagues. It's a great feeling to win the league and have the trophy. So if you guys want to win your leagues, tune in to League Winners. Hopefully we can get Adam on the show later in the week. If not, sorry guys, you're going to have to deal with just me. But I'm going to sign off for the night. Short video, 30 minutes. Tune in.